What's going on, everyone? Danny Scott here.
Tyler here.
And we just finished day one of the Big East tournament. We had 3 great games today. You know, 2 of them were a lot better than one. St. John's kind of took it to DePaul tonight. However, Butler versus Xavier in OT, and Georgetown almost upset Seton Hall tonight. But before we get into those 2, let's talk about Butler versus Xavier. That was the first game tonight. Overtime thriller. Tyler, your thoughts on that one?
I mean, during regulation, it was the Chucky Harris show. He ended up with 29 points before fouling out right at the end of regulation. But you know who really took over the game at the end of the game? Seamus Lukosius. He ended up with 27 points and absolutely took over the overtime period. He went absolutely nuclear, could not miss a shot, and he had ice in his veins, simply put. Just like D'Angelo Russell once said, he had ice in his veins. And Seamus Lukosius really took over the game for Butler. And for Xavier, the key to the game, they really struggled at the free throw line. Under 50%, 13 of 29 from the free throw line is absolutely unacceptable, especially when it comes to March. You cannot do that. So that's why Xavier lost this game.
And you know, Paul Scruggs in this one also fouls out. However, he makes a big shot at the end.
Massive.
To put Butler up by 2 before, Xavier up by 2 before Butler makes a last-second shot with 5 seconds to go, and they go on to win this one in OT.
Yep, 89-82 was the final tally, and Jack Nungy played really well. There were 4 guys with double-digit scoring for Xavier. Jack Nungy, Colby Jones, Paul Scruggs, and Zach Fremantle. However, that wasn't enough to beat the Butler Bears and Bulldogs. And Butler really, they're going to have a tough test on their hand against Providence tomorrow, but, you know, they looked like a very good team today. Looked like much better than their record showed.
And like you mentioned, Butler moves on to face number 1 seed Providence after sort of upsetting the number 8 seed Xavier Musketeers. However, let's move on to the second one. And not a whole lot to go off in this one, except for Champagny really went off for St. John's and showed everyone why he is a first-team All-Big East caliber player.
Yep, Julian Champagny, the Brooklyn native, absolutely popped off today. He had 26 points, multiple big shots, a couple of very, very impressive dunks. He looked like an NBA prospect. He looked like what everybody's been talking about, like a very, very good basketball player. He led all scoring with 26 points. He had 7 rebounds. And every time that DePaul threatened, Champagny would come up with a big shot or a big pass, look for somebody open, make a massive play to ignite the St. John's. And the St. John's, if you watch the game, St. John's kind of had the crowd on their side. Obviously being the local team compared to DePaul coming from Chicago. They really used the crowd to their advantage, and they played really well in the second half.
And you know, day one at these tournaments are typically pretty low attendance. However, there was a lot of red, and it was very loud for the minimal amount of people that you would normally see at MSG. However, you know, St. John's kind of turned this one into a dunk contest.
Right.
Champagny went off for a few. Former Fordham Ram, Joel Soriano, had a big dunk that lit up the crowd. But however, you know, St. John's really just took it to DePaul, and they did what they needed to do to get the job done. Exactly.
I mean, DePaul really didn't stand a chance as soon as it got to halftime. It was a 20-point game at halftime. Champagny was hitting crazy shots. And they fought. It was a close game for a little bit of the first half. Javon Freeman-Liberty showed he averages 21 a game. He showed why he was such a great player. He had 17 today, which is a little below his season average. But he was by far DePaul's best player today. That being said, it wasn't enough for DePaul, and their season ends a little early.
And the final game tonight, kind of a shocker to most people. Georgetown 0-19 in Big East play. Almost upsets 6-seeded the Seton Hall Pirates. And, you know, for most of this game, it was really Georgetown that appeared like they were in control of the game. However, just too little, too late from Georgetown. Seton Hall makes a couple big shots at the end of the game, and they win this one 57-53.
A couple of massive shots by Seton Hall down the stretch. And as you said, Georgetown was really in control for a lot of this game, but it was really back and forth the whole time. But Georgetown never felt like they were out of reach. Same goes for Seton Hall. Seton Hall, they didn't really wake up in the first half. They were down 3 at the end of the first half. Jared Roden was 2 of 7 at the half. Ended up 6 of 13 with game-leading 17 points and a couple of big shots down the stretch. Jared Roden showed why he's the first-team Big East player, and he played really well in the second half today. That being said, Jawan Harris had a massive. Jameer Harris had a huge 3. When I say one of the biggest shots of his career, I mean it. Massive 3 to put Seton Hall at 55-53, and I mean, that really changed the momentum of the game. And then the next possession, Georgetown has a costly turnover, throws the ball out of bounds, and that's all she wrote.
And going into tomorrow night, St. John's will be taking on Villanova.
Seton Hall faces UConn. Great game, by the way.
And then Butler will be facing off against the number 1 seeded Providence Friars. But tomorrow, Thomas Ayala will be at the early games, Providence versus Butler, and then Marquette versus Creighton. And tomorrow night, stick with me, I will be there for the Villanova and UConn teams that we have not seen yet play.